Let's just... All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let everyone in since now it's 3 my time, so.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're just going to hang out for a little bit while we let everyone in. Feel free to drop a comment if you want to let us know where you're calling in from. Or if you already have a favorite bitters, you will by the time we're done. It's not really fair to like ask what your favorite herb is or what your favorite plant is. I can't even answer that question, but maybe just one you love. Or maybe one that you think might be a bitter, but you're not sure. And Michaela, you can let me know when you want me to start. Oh, I can also start the where I am in the world right now. I'm in Brooklyn. Hopefully we don't get any Brooklyn ambiance. No worries if you look like you're typing, I'll just assume you're taking notes. Hi to Colorado Springs. Oh, amazing. Carlsbad. I've spent quite a bit of time there. My dad was there. Wisconsin, Boulder. I love people from Boulder. Lots of friends there. All right. So we'll dive in. I am Rachelle Robinett. I'm a registered herbalist and also an apothecary advisor. So I am helping to provide herbalism education and really to make herbal medicine a household staple. My mission and our mission is for this to be accessible and practical and enjoyable. So, this class will contribute to that. And if at any point you're confused or it's not feeling like any one of those things, just drop it in the comments and we'll fix that. So today's class is all about herbal bitters. And this is one of my absolute favorite subjects. It's one of my favorite categories of herbs to talk about. They are so helpful for so many things. And I really, really love them. I recommend them almost across the board. There's so much to know and so much to appreciate about bitters. So I'm certain that you'll feel the same way when we're through. So I'll talk about what bitters are, what they're good for. I'll talk a little bit about the Apothékary's new tincture, the Never Been Bitter. I'll dive into some of the ingredients in this tincture because those ingredients are classic herbal bitters. We'll understand some of the benefits of those. And then we'll open it up to Q&A. And if you have questions as we're going along, feel free to drop them in the chat. It's nice to, answer them as I go along too. So no need to wait if you don't want to. All right, so to begin, what are herbal bitters and what are they good for? So bitter herbs, and when we say herbs, that can be medicinal herbs, that can be food, that can be spices. It's all of the ingredients from the botanical world that we use as medicine or that are functional. So bitter herbs have been used for centuries to treat common gut and digestive issues. And that includes bloating, gas, healthy elimination. They're some of the best herbs, or maybe the best herbs, for balancing the gut microbiome and the digestive tract overall. So I use them for all things digestion, enhancing the process of digestion, absorption, elimination, and then also for liver support, blood sugar stability, which can help with sugar cravings. And a lot of herbalists even like bitters for mood. They find that there's a kind of cleansing and lifting experience that people experience when using bitters. And they have this action of kind of working on the liver, working on the digestive tract, and helping to move things through our body. So you can understand how that can feel like a kind of down and out, a gentle cleansing. Like this is not like a hard detox. And then this sort of lift or lightness or clarity that can come from that whole system functioning optimally. Wellness starts in the gut. The gut is so central to our skin health, the liver and the digestive system and the whole eliminatory process are really, really important for hormone balance. And that is sex hormones, stress hormones, sleep hormones. So anytime we want to balance those, we need to be paying attention to the liver and the digestive tract, to brain health and, brain fog and these feelings of kind of lethargy that can happen often after lunch, right? In the afternoon, that can be remedied with attention to gut health. So there's so much that starts in the gut. And when we support that center, as well as the liver function, which sort of feeds right in, then the rest of our wellness can work optimally. I think the other point that's really important to mention there is that because they're enhancing absorption, digestion, and absorption, then we're getting more from everything that we're consuming: food, vitamins and supplements, other herbs. And that's a big thing. Compromised digestion, absorption results in a lot of deficiencies or discomfort. So bitter herbs in nature formed their strong flavor. So when we say bitter herb, it literally means that it has a bitter component to it. They formed that strong flavor as a protective mechanism to help keep predators away because they didn't taste good, right? This is pretty common in nature. Plants develop some sort of protective mechanism, some sort of action that benefits them. We consume those plants, we get that benefit as well. So the bitter flavor was, in essence, the plant's protective shield and a survival mechanism. We evolved with those plants, and we get the effects of bitters as soon as we taste them. We have receptors for the bitter flavor on our tongues, unsurprisingly. We also have them throughout our digestive tract, and we have receptors in our body that recognize when we've tasted or consumed something bitter, even in our lungs. Like there are places that seem very strange in the human body that knows as soon as we've consumed a bitter ingredient, a bitter herb. And so when those register, when those receptors are triggered or bound to, we get the benefits. Unfortunately, the loss of, there's a sort of loss of bitterness in modern Western diets. So a lot of times, the idea of something being bitter is considered a negative, right? It's a bad flavor. It doesn't taste good. Not a lot of people are, like, oh, I'm craving something bitter, right? Some of us do that, but most of the time it's like, oh, I want something sweet or I want something salty, right? But the more we can kind of retrain our palates, and we definitely can retrain our palates to appreciate some of that bitterness, the more benefit there is for us there. And it's also something that we've had historically it's, you know, been bred out of kind of conventional produce and produce across the board. We've made it more sweet generally. This is definitely not benefiting anyone's digestion, right? A lack of those bitters and all the digestion enhancing properties of those bitters is part, not the cause, but it's part of, you know, this chronic digestive issues that we have, or it's part of the solution to that problem. That's probably a better way to say it. So herbal medicine is making a comeback, thankfully. And now is an excellent time to reintegrate bitters back into our diets, partly because we need them. Digestive issues are so common. I'm sure I don't have to say that here. I'm sure that many of us either have them or know someone who does. Indigestion of all different kinds is just, you know, practically normal at this point and really doesn't have to be. The other thing that's wonderful about bitters right now is that they go really well with the sort of sober curious or alternatives to alcohol movement, because these make excellent mocktails or non-alcoholic cocktails. You can also use them in cocktails, and they're commonly in cocktails, and they're commonly at bars. So one of my favorite, you know, happy hour drinks is what I'm going to show you, you know, here. Well, I can just show you now, actually, I don't have to wait. And it's just sparkling water. So we all know what that looks like, but I have to show you so I can do it. So sparkling water and digestive bitters. So obviously I'm using Apothékary, it's never been bitter. Let's see if I can do this with both my hands so you can see. Putting a couple dropperfuls in. I mean, you can definitely just put it directly in your mouth as well. But like, that's a 2-step, delicious, functional happy hour drink that's going to enhance digestion of my dinner later. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this tincture, and then I'll get into the ingredients and tell you a little bit more about each of these herbs and sort of how they work more specifically. So never been bitter is alcohol-free. So some tinctures are made with alcohol. This is not made with alcohol. It's made with vegetable glycerin as the base, which also gives it a natural sweetness. And I think that's a good, you know, point or a good time to mention that while herbs have bitter qualities, they don't all taste, you know, horribly bitter. So like this actually tastes very good. Some herbs that are extremely bitter are mugwort or wormwood, for example. But things like citrus peel has just a tiny bit of a bitterness, right? And you're getting that benefit, but the flavor is really nice. So this is alcohol-free, and it's a digestive style bitters formula. It includes gut and digestion enhancing herbs. And the formula is created by clinical herbalists at Apothékary, using kind of centuries old herbalism wisdom, and then that has been confirmed by science. So not all of herbalism has been studied by science, a lot of it has. And in this case, these ingredients are sort of tested both ways, traditionally and scientifically. So some of the ingredients here are some of the greatest hits in terms of herbal bitters in the world. So artichoke leaf, this one is super common, super fantastic, used for centuries as a liver protectant, digestive aid, and bowel support. And I just want to reiterate that while there's some sort of liver support and elimination support, none of this is going to be like a laxative, right? None of this is going to be like a heavy detox. This is something that we can use on a daily basis to help these different organs and systems to function optimally. And actually, as an aside, I'll mention, you know, I use digestive bitters with clients before their meals, right? And I'll get to this in a minute too, but I just want to mention, when I use digestive bitters with clients, they almost never, and actually never over time, need to then take digestive enzymes, for example. I think that's very common in the world right now. I have trouble digesting, so I take digestive enzymes. Bitters help our body to produce what's necessary to digest on its own. So when we're using them, digestion is functioning in such a way that we don't have to take those extra enzymes most times. Okay, back to ingredients. So we have dandelion root, another classic. Dandelion root is a prebiotic. So prebiotic is a fiber starch that we find in roots and starchy vegetables. It helps to feed the good bacteria in our microbiome, our probiotics. Dandelion root also helps to reduce irritation in the digestive tract and to promote good bacteria in the gut microbiome. And that's because it's a good prebiotic root. Another prebiotic root that's also a bitter is burdock root. Helps promote healthy elimination via the bowels, skin, and blood, while nourishing the gut microbiome and supporting liver detoxification. So these themes repeat, and you can kind of see the relationship between bowels, skin, gut, liver. Gentian root. So gentian root is, again, gentian root is pretty phenomenal. It's one of the greatest known bitters. It's one of the most bitter plants. It's one of the most functional bitter plants. Digestive aid, helps to bring ease to gut disturbances, supports liver detoxification. Then we have calendula flowers. So calendula is known as a vulnerary or a wound healer. That's another category of herbs. It's also an astringent. So astringent is like a toning property. And it's used to help calm inflammation and sort of injury or assault to the gut lining. And calendula does this, internally in the same way that it would do it topically. So there are a lot of these plants that we can use for skin care, and we can also use for gut care, because those systems are essentially totally connected, right? And we're talking about mucous membranes and soft tissue and things that need hydration and healing and to be sort of closed up and well, and not, leaky gut or otherwise. And then lastly, coriander seeds. So coriander is antimicrobial, carminative. So carminative means that it's sort of relaxing the bowel muscles. So this is excellent for cramping or gas or issues with motility, bloating, if I didn't say that, and then also helping to promote liver function. So pretty clear the themes in these ingredients. In terms of how to use bitters, so again, you can make a drink with them. You can also just use them directly in your mouth. And it's not common to find them in forms that are sort of encapsulated or otherwise, but you really want to taste these. And that's one of the beauties of this product, tasting good, is that tasting the bitters, like I mentioned, those receptors are receiving that bitter quality, and then the benefits begin. So having this, directly on your tongue, tasting it, and then having dinner 10 or 15 minutes later, or lunch or breakfast, you can definitely have them all day long. And I would recommend doing so. That's the sort of timing and process. So use them, taste them, enjoy them, and kind of put them around meals or anytime you want these benefits. I often have bitters in the afternoon as well, like after lunch. But if you want to enhance your digestion, have them before, and then optional to have them afterward. All right, so I have a few more notes, but I think I'll stop for a minute and open it up to questions, and also check the chat, because I said I was going to watch for questions to come in, but I got carried away and did not watch for questions. So let me see what's over here. Ah, nice. So yeah, so there's a comment here. Also, the serotonin production from the gut probably contributes to the good feeling. Great point. So much serotonin is produced in our gut, the vast majority of it. So when we are healing, balancing, optimizing, digestive function and microbiome health, then we are also improving mental health in that way. So yeah, that's a great point. Thanks for mentioning that. Any other questions or thoughts about bitters, digestion, absorption, gut health, liver function? Bitters at the bar, do they have healing properties? Good one. So maybe. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to check the ingredients, and I'll be that annoying person in the bar, like, let me see the bottle. If it's just color and flavor, then no, they don't have the healing properties and the benefits that we've mentioned here. If the bar that you're at is using a bitter, bitters, that includes gentian and dandelion and burdock and citrus peel or coriander, what's the first one that artichoke leaf, then yes, they will. And that can also be like, that's my go-to order at a bar, instead of alcohol, is sparkling water and bitters. Sometimes, they're not the good bitters, but sometimes they are. Oh yeah. So Tracy says, I had food poisoning from an expired pastry last week, and bitters tincture helped everything move through much quicker. Good. Well, bad and good, but yeah. Oh my gosh. And topaz also. I ate some bad Indian food and never been bitter, saved my gut overnight. Great. Are these safe for 14 and 12-year-olds? My daughters, especially my eldest, struggles with digestive issues. Apothékary, you can weigh in here too if you want to. My general recommendation for, 14 to 12, I would say definitely, but one thing that you want to consider when you're dosing tinctures or herbs in general is to just account for body weight, for the size of the person, right? So, my brothers are 6'6", and so their dosage of things is much different than mine. And depending on the size of your 14 or 12-year-old kids, then you might just want to adjust the dosage accordingly. But at that age, we're considering it's safe for them. How long before meals should you take bitters? So really anytime you want, but the ideal window is about 10 to 15 minutes. It's not going to matter if you miss it by 5 or 10 or really even 20, but they sort of stimulate the digestion, right? The digestive process, prepare it, if you will. So ideally, have them, before you eat. Another way to do that is to have them while you're preparing your meal. You can also have them with your meal, but the ideal window, if you really, really want to optimize it, is about 10 to 15 minutes before you eat. Okay, yeah, and Apothékary says that herbs definitely can be safe for those under 18, but Apothékary does not have the dosing intended for those under 18. Yeah, that's fair. Let's see, going back up here. I like to pair my Apothékary herbs with tea. Specifically, August Uncommon has some flavors that are great, such as Negroni tea. Oh, wow. Does heating up tinctures change their effectiveness? I need to know about Negroni tea. Wow. So heating up tinctures and changing their effectiveness, generally anything like a tea, hot water is going to be fine for tinctures. They're in a pretty stable state. If you're adding the tincture to something and then boiling it, for example, that could affect some things. It would depend at that point on what's in the tincture, and also that wouldn't be recommended anyway. But adding tinctures to tea is a great idea. You can definitely do that. And I would recommend it. Let's see. How would you use bitters for IBS-C and motility? Yeah, I would recommend using bitters really in the way that I described, before meals. And, you know, if you're looking for gut healing benefits as well as just digestion enhancing, which includes, you know, absorption and motility, then more frequent use could be helpful, especially with a formula like this that includes the calendula. So it's not exclusively bitters, you're also getting some gut healing, like vulnerary, you know, that wound healing function from the calendula. That said, you know, a pure bitters formula is also going to ease the digestive process, which is going to be helpful for any kind of digestive imbalances. Yeah, you're so welcome. Great questions. Did I miss any? I don't think I did anymore. We have a couple. Well, I guess, I mean, maybe Michaela, before, you know, I can hang out and answer some questions, but we should mention that there's a discount code. Should I put that, or maybe you want to put that in the chat? So we have a code for a discount as a little thank you for joining. I think I'll let Michaela put it in the chat because I feel like that's like the best. There you go. So the code is my name, Rachelle. And it's good for 15% off all orders of $45 or more. With Apothékary, applies to one-time purchases. Just a little thank you. And I'll keep answering questions. Here's another. So Tracy says, what's the shelf life for tinctures? Yeah, it's a great question. So shelf life, tinctures have a really long shelf life. Apothékary, I would imagine that yours is a year, but I'll let you confirm. I have a sample, so mine doesn't have the actual like expiration on it, but I think it's typically about a year. And generally it depends on the base, but they can last quite a long time. And tinctures, you know, tinctures are they're shelf stable, they're portable, they're great for travel. I have like 3 on my desk right now. I always travel with tinctures. You can carry them in your purse. I take them with me, especially bitters. I'll take them with me when I go out. If I go to parties, like spike my own drinks. You can leave them, you know, at work, in your car, like really anywhere you want, and just have this very sort of easy to use, quickly effective herbal supplement in your life. Like they're just they're super simple. So yeah, Tracy, I'm gonna let Apothékary confirm the shelf life on their tinctures, because I'm not positive about that. Oh, there you go. Yeah, about a year. And then Janet says, is it necessary to hold the bitter tincture under your tongue or just swallow? Yeah, so these don't have to be held under the tongue, but you do want to taste them. So, you know, by the time you put it in your mouth and swallow, that's probably enough tasting. The under the tongue is kind of a different format. That's a sublingual, and that's usually like a fat suspended like formula. With tinctures, you have either alcohol or glycerin. And with the glycerin, you can just taste it. But you don't have to hold it under your tongue. And if you're using an alcohol-based tincture, you don't want to put it under your tongue, because that can be really harsh on that soft tissue down there. And alcohol is so quickly absorbed. All of these formats are just absorbed very quickly. So you don't have to like kind of hold it there, like, you know, some of the CBD tinctures and things you have to hold down there. These don't require that, but do taste it. Great, thank you for the tea link. Wonderful. Well, we're so punctual. We have about a minute left. Any other questions? I hope this was helpful. Can never be bitter tincture be taken twice a day? Is there a limit using the 1 to 2 dropper fulls per serving? if there's a limit, I'm going to hit it. I use it all day long. Apothékary, I don't know if you have an official stance on that, but bitters are a kind of a type of herb that, again, used to be part of our diet. Like, it used to be part of our culinary experience. So we were consuming them all the time. So from my perspective, we can consume them all the time, and we should. Now, I don't think, the upper limit would be like, we don't want to go through a bottle a day, but can use it before every single meal? Yes. Can you have 1 to 2 dropperfuls before every single meal? Yes. Can you have it after meals? Yes. So my stance is pretty, it's very pro bitters, but I don't know if Apothékary says maybe there's an upper limit. Yeah. Thanks, Daniela. So nice. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that you found that interesting. Yeah, they were, it was part of our life, and they're so helpful for us. So I really encourage seeking them out, finding the ones that you appreciate. If you hate the flavor, there's some other, bitter that you can enjoy. They come in all forms: food, spices, herbs, and of course, really good tasting tinctures, which is like the easiest way to do it. So definitely. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you at the next class. There will be another one soon. Take good care. Find some bitters. Digest well.